everyone is bored, numb, or derisive about the Game Awards. The entire discourse can be summed up in the question, who cares? But apathy is a signal. And I think when the culture stops caring about our biggest stage, that is a sign that something is broken. So let us pretend today, right now, for one episode, that the Game Awards is serious. This is our Oscars. If we take it seriously, what do the nominees, categories, and the discourse tell us about the state of video games in 2025?
But Jake, have you considered one more thing?
A critical error is an error which the OS cannot reasonably ignore. Jake Steinberg is a streamer, writer, and certified yapper. Complimentary. Peter Hunt Szpytek is a YouTuber, journalist, and certified yapper. Derogatory. These are the things they cannot reasonably ignore.
Jake Steinberg, you raised some good questions in our little intro here. TGA. They announced the categories and the nominees for all of the different games for the Game Awards 2025. And here's the thing, man. Every single time the Game Awards comes up, there's always discourse about it. And I think that makes sense in the same way that, like, anytime anyone comes up with like a Game of the Year list, there's discourse about it. It's about discussing games and everything. But it's interesting to me the way that people get so outraged about the Game Awards and their nominees, given the way that we talk about video games as a whole. And so I want to throw it to you real quick. The TGA nominees are out there. What in general is your like, what is the temperature on the room right now with all this?
Oh my God. I think to me, the prevailing take that I see online, the thing that I'm most compelled to respond to is this common refrain. These nominees are not representative of the landscape of gaming. They are not representative of our tastes. This is a narrow view of games, and it was cultivated by narrow perspectives. There is something wrong fundamentally with how these Game Awards nominees are chosen. It sounds like, so you've seen this as well. You agree that this is a big, Yeah,
it feels like this happens every year, and it feels like this year in particular, the voices have been very loud of saying, like, who's nominating these things? These games are all bad. And it feels like it happens every single year. And I think there is like some certain like level of, it is fun to be a contrarian sometimes and be like, I actually have much better taste than everyone else here. I don't like popular games. I like secret good games, you know?
Yes.
But with the way that this is like, it feels like this year specifically, people are real loud about this. Mm-hmm. And it makes me feel a little bit like I'm losing my mind.
Peter, can I quote, this is an article by Polygon. Since its inception, the Game Awards has relied on a jury of traditional media outlets and influencers to decide which games get nominated and which games ultimately win their respective categories. Again, a jury of traditional media outlets and interviewers and influencers are deciding which games are part of the nominees here. As my friend and friend of the show, Autumn Wright, put it, the tastelessness is coming from inside the house. Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, like, that's the thing, right? Like, if people are mad about it in games media, oftentimes I'm like, you know, it might not be you that you know, wrote in the panel, whatever, but it's like, so many of these people are like a part of these publications that actually do the nominations and whatever. And you can see, by the way, if you go on the gameawards.com, be careful. The website's a little broken. Maybe they're working on it. I don't know. I'm getting a lot of 404 messages when I'm like clicking on like FAQ and whatever. But you can see the panelists, like the publications that are a part of it, right? Like it's all across the spectrum in terms of like, I mean, there's The Atlantic on here, known for their games criticism.
Hey, there's some good game stuff in there, but the thing that I think is interesting about this is that I think that there is a tension online from people in games media who I think are trying to perpetuate this idea that the reason that the Game Awards nominees are the way they are is because the jury is weighted too harshly or hard. It's weighted too heavily to the side of influencers or people that this particular loud group online thinks should not have as heavy of a voice as they do. And what I find fascinating about this, Peter, is that I am a judge on the Indie Game Awards. So not exactly the same thing, but I feel that I can speak to a perspective at play here. And I bring this up to say, I am a judge on this panel. If you look at the Indie Game Award nominees for any category, it's not what I would have put up there. It is not. It is not representative of me and my taste.
Mm-hmm.
So how can I say that the tastelessness is coming from inside the house? If I am inside the house on the Indie Game Awards and the tastelessness is there, let me tell you, because in both cases, I think that the opinions represented are representative widely of the games media perspective. I don't know why
agree.
are we pretending that the games nominated for Game of the Year are not just 5 or 6 or whatever of some of the best reviewed games of the year? Like, they are. Like, these are not like weird casual opinions that are not representative of the people reviewing games. This is extremely in line. Yeah.
The way people reacted to the sort of like nominees dropping made me think that like FIFA was in, you know what I mean? Was like nominated for like game of the year. I don't know. It's EA Sports FC, I think. But you know what I'm saying? Like these like games that like sell gangbusters every single year over year, whatever, but are not necessarily the type of games that people think should be nominated for awards, you know? But then you look at like what's in here and I'm like, yeah, people loved these games. You know what I mean? And I like some of them. I think some of them are not particularly good, but that's just my own personal taste, right? But like at the end of the day, regardless of whether or not I think that the games, like let's say nominated for Game of the Year, which are Clair Obscur, Expedition 33, Death Stranding 2 on the Beach, Donkey Kong Bonanza, Hades 2, Hollow Knight Silksong, and Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Like I look at these games and I'm like, yeah, this seems like these are the games that people really seem to resonate with this year.
I completely agree. So there is this knee-jerk kind of performative surprise that I think a lot of it does come down to kind of what you were saying before, where it is this I'm not like other girls game reviewer. Sure. It is this. Yeah. It is and it's I have a more unique, interesting kind of taste than the representative of the whole does. And I think I think any individual probably does. But at the same time, I wonder when I see the personal lists come out and the outlet lists and GameSpot does their top 10 and IGN does their top 10, am I not going to see lists that are more or less the same as this?
No, 100%.
They're going to be the same.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't know what one Game of the Year in 2024 at the Game Awards.
Astrobot.
Okay, great. And like, did Astrobot not get a bunch of 2024 Game of the Year awards from like different outlets and stuff? Like, you know what I mean? It's just like, this is, So what is like the I think you and I both witnessed it, and we asked our patrons, and we got on patreon.com/criticalerror a lot of feedback about what they wanted to see us talk about when we talked about the Game Awards here in this episode. And one of the common refrains was like, what do you think of the nominees? What do you think of these games? And I think there was like a bit of dissonance there, because I go online and you, based on the discourse, you would think that people in games media hate these.
Yeah.
Which is like just not true.
It's so yeah. These are games that, like, you know, and it's this thing where too, like, we're not conflating the idea of like, oh, like whoever at IGN gave this game a 10, which means everyone at IGN needs to think this game is amazing. That's not what we're doing. But we are saying in the broad strokes of like the temperature in the room when review embargo drops and everyone has been playing Clair Obscur Expedition 33, the temperature in the room is, oh my gosh, this game is amazing.
Yes.
And that's okay. It's just weird that like we spend so much time in the year saying you have to play this game. You're going to lose your mind if you don't play this game right now. It's February. Game of the Year has already been decided. Split Fiction. And then, you know, Split Fiction's in here a few times. But, you know what I'm saying? Like we do this thing where it's like, you have to play this game. It's incredible. It's absolutely amazing. It's absolutely incredible. But then come award season for this award, and specifically for the Game Awards, it's like, all these games ain't shit. Come on now. Oh, look at you in your Hollow Knight Silksong. Look at you and your Donkey Kong Bonanza. Buffoon. You're a buffoon.
You know, obviously, the Game Awards are not above critique. Obviously, there are things to criticize about the Game Awards.
And we will certainly do that, I'm certain.
But I wonder if the thing that is causing the most dissonance, the most discomfort for people, is that the Game Awards is holding up a mirror to not only the state of video games, but the state of games media. And is maybe making clear that there is a set of values at play here that is more powerful, more overwhelming, and more highly prioritized than people would like to imagine. You know what I mean? It's like when I think there are certain categories that we can look at that paint a very vivid picture about what we value. Maybe that's a good place to jump in.
Yeah, if I may point us to best narrative. And I think this is something interesting too, that like, I don't think anything that we are going to say here is going to be particularly like revolutionary, but I do think it's worth like pointing out and saying like, okay, if everyone is upset that these are the games that are nominated for best narrative, then perhaps we start nominating different games, different kinds of games.
Perhaps in our criticism that we write, in our games media, we need to interrogate what these games are doing narratively in a different way. Because I think, again, right, like you said, if we feel that this is not representative of the best narratives in video games, my next question would be, do you think the media created around games backs that up?
Right.
Do you think that we have evidence being fed to the audience that is not the case? Or would you guess, based on reviews for these games, that these are the best narratives in games?
And that's what I think is interesting too, right? About like when you read reviews and you read the way that people talk about these games, a lot of the times they're like, the story is good. And then you move on and you're like, but there's no sort of like, examination of that. And now, of course, part of that comes down to like, I can imagine that someone's like, well, Peter, what do you want? Do you want someone to do a full breakdown of every narrative beat of Death Stranding 2? And I'm like, well, no. But I do think that like when we talk critically about these games, we should be examining these in a little bit more depth, because a lot of the time too, like I think about my time working at The Gamer, like I got a code for Assassin's Creed Shadows. Right. And so let's say I reviewed Assassin's Creed Shadows. I'd probably write the review as I would as a standard review. And then there's still meat on that bone. I'm still gonna try and make more pieces about that game because I played it and I have different things to think about it. So like now let me expand what I think from a review by writing about the story or this or that or whatever. And I think that's a call, right, for more. If you cannot fit this sort of stuff into your review, then maybe you expand it in other pieces and op-eds and whatever else you might do. I'm not sure how everyone else's jobs worked. That's how it worked for me. But if I may, just take a look at the narrative category here. So we got Clair Obscur, Expedition 33, Death Stranding 2, On the Beach, Ghosts of Yotei, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, and Silent Hill F. And I want to throw it to you, Jake. My question to you is, you look at these games and what do they tell you about what we value as games media about games with narratives?
Every single one of these games could be, in a way that I think is relatively straightforward, adapted to a medium that is not video games.
The only one that I might push back on that with is Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, but the main reason for that is because I know the least about it. So okay. You know what I mean? Like, to my understanding, it is an RPG that leans pretty heavily into like player choice stuff. I don't know the extremes of that or like the ends of it, but right. I would like to point out that is a game that for me, I'm kind of excluding from this conversation because I simply don't know enough about it.
For that, I am kind of what I alluded to earlier. I'm leaning on the ways in which people have written about this game.
Sure.
And based on what people have said, if I go to the IGN review for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, written by Leanna Hafer, the review reads, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 review, an action-packed medieval saga fit for a Hollywood blockbuster.
Oh, sure. There you go.
And it's one of these things where it's like the second paragraph, the tragic tale picks up immediately where Kingdom Come Deliverance left off in 2018, and it talks about how this is a story that is very tangible. And so I agree. I know it's like that kind of game in kind of like the RPG way that it is, but I do think that there is something present there that people value to the point of even invoking Hollywood blockbuster, I think, is a bit of a tell. So
it is, because based on the rest of these, you look at like Clair Obscur, like that is a game that is trying to be a Hollywood blockbuster. You have Charlie Cox in the main role. You have all of like this like really great like facial capture and whatever. Death Stranding 2, that is like the epitome of let's get some actors in here. Let's get some actors in here. I want to see your face. You know what I mean? And then Ghosts of Yotei, similar sort of thing that is trying to be a Kurosawa movie more than it wants to be a video game. Silent Hill F. Yeah, go ahead.
And I think even putting their plots aside, the ways in which they are filmed and what is valued, and kind of like what you were alluding to with this high fidelity facial performance, this emulation of what is important in telling a story in film, is being able to capture a performance, right? That's so important to a narrative. And it is funny, not like there is not a single game in these nominees that bravely can tell a story in the language of video games, in the, and like there are elements of that here, but like, where is can you tell a story without somebody delivering a line? Can you have best narrative without cutscenes?
Right. Or I think about like a few years ago when that Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe came out. Like, I felt like that was such an easy game to like throw to best narrative, because it is like literally diving into how we structure plot, you know what I mean? And what we come to expect from also that game, spoilers, is actually Stanley Parable 2, masked as a deluxe edition. And it examines the way that, like, how do you make a sequel to something that is about examining what a narrative is, and that was a game I was like, oh, that's like such an easy shoe-in for something like this. And then no, of course, it was all of the best facial capture games and whatever else. But what I find frustrating too is so rarely do these sorts of games, I feel like, get the proper sort of like narrative analysis. You know what I mean? So like a lot of people have written a lot about like Clair Obscur. That's one that I think has gotten that. And while, I do think there's the oversaturation of these sorts of like high fidelity, using the language of cinema narratives in this list, I do think that this is a game that is taking a swing at trying to tell an interesting narrative that does break what I would call the traditional, more like 3-act structure that we have come to be familiar with like film and stuff. You know what I mean?
Let me add a comparative element to what we're talking about.
Yeah,
here.
Sure. Go ahead.
If you imagine the games for impact category, I think it is fair to say that a large degree of what we're talking about is narrative impact.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody would disagree with that. And if you look at the games in that category, you're looking at Consume Me, Despelote, Lost Records, Bloom and Rage, South of Midnight, and Wanderstop. I think with the exception of maybe South of Midnight, I would say that all of these games would be described casually as story games.
Oh, South of Midnight is definitely that.
Fantastic. Okay. Yeah. So these are games that I think we, on some level, recognize that something is happening narratively, but because narrative is a word that I think so many of us, our familiarity with it is pulled from the world of movies and TV and books, whereas impact does not have that same kind of association. You see the break happening here. And it is so fascinating to me that not a single one of these games is in the best narrative category. Not a single one.
I played Despelote earlier this year, and I think that game was a fascinating narrative about like a very specific time and place in a very specific city. And the way I think it breaks it down is fascinating. It's really, really fascinating. And I think the way that, like, oh man, there's just so much cool stuff that happens in that game. And it's all small, but it's like life stuff, right? Like there's a bit where you end up going to a wedding, and they have to have the football, the soccer game on at the wedding. It has to be on at the wedding. Otherwise people are going to leave the wedding. And so they have it up and whatever. And like, I don't know, like there's just cool little narrative beats and whatever about this sort of thing. And it's disappointing and frustrating to see that this category exists as the who has the best facial capture category. I've talked at length about my distaste for Ghost of Yote's story, but like something I struggle with is I have yet to really hear a breakdown of Ghost of Yote's story in the positive about like, here's why I think it's an excellent narrative with these beats and with these moments and with these whatever. And like, I'm willing to have people disagree with me, of course, but like the response to my video that I made where I mostly focus on the narrative has largely been like, yeah, well, it's actually really good. So, and I'm like, well, okay, but like, why do you think that? And I just haven't had really anyone step up to the plate to try and do that. And it's okay. But what I'm saying is like, is this a game that I think deserves best narrative? And I would say absolutely not.
Wide opinion on Ghost of Yote would tell you that you are wrong, right?
Yep.
Okay. And I think that something that I really want to make clear to people in this episode, and I think is a good microcosm of what we are talking about, is that I don't want to say that the Game Awards is doing something wrong here, because I think that if you look at any sample of video game reviews, you're going to find Expedition 33 getting praised for its story. You are going to find Ghost of Yotei getting praised for its story. You're going to find like these are the things that we do value. And I wonder if where is this animosity with the Game Awards coming from?
Yeah.
I don't think anybody would. I think if you deleted this and you put IGN branding all over it, I don't think anybody would say anything.
Right, I think because I think it's like exactly what you're saying. Like if this were just a list from a publication, I think most people would nod their heads and be like, "Yeah, that seems about right." Like
it's because the Game Awards is all encompassing, so people are involved. Yeah. You can't go. Oh, that's IGN. It's like, no, that's you, dude. Yeah, this is you. 100%. I think that's what's hurting people. And I really like this this Games for Impact Best Narrative thing. So they describe on the website Games for Impact as for a thought-provoking game with a pro-social meaning or message. And to say that all of these games achieve that excellently, but they're not good enough to be best narrative, that is so representative of our culture.
Because let's say like Final Fantasy VII, is that not a game that has a pro-social message, right? About like environmentalism and like corporate greed and all this sort of stuff. That what was the last little bit there? Like
about pro-social meaning or message?
Yeah. I mean like 100%, right? That sounds like a game for Impact.
Wow. Okay. So there's an aesthetic signaling happening.
Yeah, but it's not that, right? And I think one of the things that people often do with the Games for Impact is like it feels like there's this like sort of unspoken thing about like, yeah, but that's where the video games that are about being gay go. You know what I mean? Or being about like race or whatever. Yeah. And it's this frustrating thing because it's exactly what you're saying. Like South of Midnight, it's my understanding is a interesting like exploration story about like Louisiana, I think, and like Bayou and stuff like that, and it sort of like mixes this like cultural story in with all this other stuff. It's like this magical realism stuff, but it's not a narrative that's good enough for best narrative.
I just started playing Lost Records Bloom and Rage.
Yeah.
And something I really like that game does is that the main character that you are playing as, they are really attached to their video camera. And there are like collectibles in the game that is essentially like, can you point your camera at this and record it for 5 seconds? And like, so for example, they have a cat in their house and they love their cat.
Yeah.
And it's like, you get all of these different shots of the cat on your little video camera doing stuff in the game. And you're like, oh, that's cute. And then what the game does is it creates this little home video VHS thing where it puts those clips together and makes like a little, this is my home video about the cat. And what it does is it puts a filter over it that weirdly makes it look like FMV.
Oh, that's bizarre.
And I don't know how it's achieved, but it's really good. And it's still like the exact shots that you took. And there is something narratively happening there in the way that they are situating you in the game, that they're using the tools of a video game to situate you in a perspective that they know is a very specific, probably different one from the person playing the game. And I just feel that there is like no room to uphold that when you are fighting against highest fidelity performance capture, when you are fighting against Charlie Cox in your video game and Norman Reedus. There is like, it will never be as important or as valued in our space.
And so like what I want to also point out here too is like there's nothing wrong with Norman Reedus's Big Day Out, right? Like there's like great, like love to have him here. But it is this thing where I think it's what you just said and ended there by saying like, but it's about how it's valued and like games that do not have these high fidelity facial capture and big name actors and whatever in them are just not valued in the same way as we value smaller budget games that are doing something with the constraints that they have or doing something specific that is not going for immediate realism, you know?
Can I bring in a new category?
Please, I've got some as well.
Best game direction.
Yeah, this is a weird one, huh?
Awarded for outstanding creative vision and innovation in game direction and design. So we see, tell me if you've heard this one before.
Yeah, go ahead.
Expedition 33.
Oh, is that nominated this year?
Death Stranding 2.
Is that one nominated this year?
Ghost of Yotei.
Oh, interesting.
Hades 2.
Yeah.
And Split Fiction. So first off, I just want to call your attention to the fact that Death Stranding 2, Ghost of Yotei, and Hades 2, these are sequels to games that I think were nominated at the Game Awards in the past.
Yep.
And I think that largely the kind of like structure and what these games are doing is very reminiscent, for lack of a better word, of what their original titles did. These are not huge departures as far as sequels are concerned. And to remind you, best game direction awarded for outstanding creative vision and innovation in game direction and design. How does this hit you?
Well, I mean, I always find that this category feels like it exists because it's an Oscars category. Whoa. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like, I find that the game direction award usually goes to the game that has a director that we all know, if that kind of makes sense. Okay, so I would not be surprised if this award goes to Death Stranding 2 because we all know who Hideo Kojima is. And if it doesn't go to that, part of me feels like it's going to go to Split Fiction because we all know who Joseph Fares is, right?
Whoa, really? I feel like this is a clair obscure just because it's the game people like the most.
I mean, certainly, but it also is this thing too where I'm like, okay, well, people are going to vote for Clair Obscure for Game of the Year, but they're like, oh, but like the direction, Hideo Kojima is a director that I know, you know?
I hear you. I think that people just take direction to mean it's just like this wide view of the game, and I think largely it's like, oh, it's a JRPG, but they've got this cool battle system. That's direction.
Well, what I find interesting about the like way it's worded here, awarded for outstanding creative vision and innovation in game direction and design. You mean the best game of the year? You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of just like game of the year 2. Yeah, I don't know. But the thing that I think you are pointing out here is if we return to the question about like, well, what do these games say about what we are looking for in like culturally from games media and the way that we are valuing games? Okay, we have, again, you said 3 sequels, a game that is movie actors and high fidelity faces, and then Split Fiction is not a sequel, but it is like the follow-up to It Takes Two, which is a follow-up to A Way Out. You're making a face.
I'm sorry, Peter. I gotta crash in here.
Go right ahead.
I'm going straight for the jugular on this one. I simply cannot imagine. The perspective of somebody who has their Game Awards nominees ballot and writes down Hades 2 for this category. I cannot imagine it. I cannot get there. I do not know what they are imagining, what they think is in front of them. I don't know what they think the game direction of that game is. I have no idea what would compel them to write that down. That is I'm struggling very hard with this list. I think I would say the same thing about Ghost of Yotei if I'm being entirely honest.
I agree.
But but like Hades 2 is the one I'm most familiar with. I recently wrote a whole piece about how the failures of Hades 2 for Kotaku, so I'm most intimately familiar with this game. I've beaten it all the way through, and I find that the direction of this game is Hades 1.
Right. I mean, that's Ghost of Yotei, right? Ghost of Yotei, the direction is, well, we're doing Ghost of Tsushima again, right?
And you could lie. You could lie to me, and you could just be like, "Well, Jake, the direction of its main character," and I'm like, "Stop!" Like everything you're gonna say is like one sentence, and then that's what it is. It's like there's no.
It's that thing where like, no, you are right. Like, yeah, it is a different video game. You caught me. Yes, it is. It is actually functionally a different video game. However, when we take a look at like the way the things it's trying to achieve, is it something that is innovative and whatever? And so then this begs the question for me about if you were given this list and you are, you know, the people who are nominating this, what are we valuing here in terms of the games that are nominated in all of this? How is this, like, what is this telling us about what we see and think of when we say game direction?
I think I have the answer.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I remember reading a particular review for Ghost of Yotei that went through all of the different like kinds of side quests and kinds of like stalls and like different material things that you can visit to upgrade different parts of your kit. And I think that this question of best game direction, it is as if you are asking the voters which video game is built the best.
Sure.
And I think what is in a lot of video game reviews, kind of in the culture of writing reviews, what we've established them as, I think there is this practice of like listing out all of the different parts of a video game, and kind of like giving them like a check.
Yeah,
and
just a thumbs up, like, nice.
This works. Yep. This works. And I think that's what I'm seeing in these particular nominees. It's like, oh, Hades 2 has good game direction because I like the story, check. I like the upgrades and the powers, check. I like the boons. I like the characters. It's kind of like this like, it has the least amount of like weaknesses almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I completely agree. And I think that also sort of extends then to like, well,
it's polish and budget. It's polish and budget.
Like that's my, and I guess we're jumping the gun a little bit here, right? About like the overall vibe about like, what do these game awards tell us about what we value? And it is polish and budget, right? It is budget. That is my general takeaway. There are some exceptions here, right? I don't want to, I'm not here to like hash out this conversation about like what is an indie game, but I do want to point your attention to the best independent game.
Sure.
To raise that same question about what do these nominations tell us? Because the whole conversation about what is an indie game has been had since, I believe, the beginning of time. I would have to double check on that, but I think it is, the start of time, and I think it's going to continue until the heat death of the universe. But so the games nominated for best independent game are Absolutum, Ball Pit. I never know you pronounce the X.
You don't pronounce the X. It's in the drag and drive. No, Hunter. Is that
Hunter? Spy Family. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's one of those. I think it's one of those. Yeah.
Ball Pit, Blueprints, Clear Obscure Expedition 33, Hades 2, and Hollow Knight Silk Song.
Yeah. Right.
So again, I don't want to hash out like, are these indie games? But I want to ask the question about like, what do these indie games tell you as far as like the nominees here?
Popular.
Sure.
Marketing.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, what's interesting is I actually don't entirely hate the nominees for this. I think as far as what a good spread of some indie games is, and looking at, we say like the big takeaway from TGA is like budget and polish, right? Clear Obscure Expedition 33, major budget, right? Multi-million-dollar project here. Hades 2, multi-million-dollar project. Hollow Knight Silk Song, multi-million-dollar project. Blueprints?
I mean, can I just reveal something about myself, I guess? And how I think about these games? I think that there is a if we were to look at like the Oscars and how the Oscars talks about best independent film, I think that there is this kind of vague description of an independent film is made out of the major film system, whatever that pipeline is. And it's not like a black or white thing. It's not something that you can apply to it's a perspective, it's a lens, it's a judgment. And if I am going to apply that, if I am running the independent game nominees, whatever, if I'm applying that lens, my judgment tells me that Expedition 33, Hades 2, and Hollow Knight Silk Song are not a part of this conversation. Because for Hades 2 and Hollow Knight Silk Song, they are both sequels to games that their prior success has allowed them to not necessarily enter kind of like the mainstream pipeline of how games are made, but it has allowed them to emulate it. And it is there is a degree to which what these games are doing is no,
I 100% where like those initial titles, not Hades because Supergiant has been around forever, right? But like those initial titles did come from independent studios, right? And then because of the success, well, now you have the budget for Hollow Knight Silk Song because of the millions and millions of dollars you made from Hollow Knight 1, right? As opposed to Blueprints, which is, I believe, the first project from the studio, right? And all that. But I guess what I'm getting at here, though, is like when I look at, when I come to the question about like, what do these nominees tell us? Like, are these nominees in line with the other things that we've learned from best narrative, from, the best performance, which maybe we'll talk about, from all these other things? I look at these and I say, no. I say, this is actually a solid spread of, I think there's a diverse type of game on here. I think there's a diverse, diverse in what the games are, in their budget, in their size, in their scope, and what they're trying to accomplish, right? Clair Obscur is doing the Hollywood thing, made technically as an indie game. Blueprints absolutely is not doing that, right? Like at all. And yet I do think that they are both decent like examples of these are what indie games are.
Definitely. And I think like my personal pushback, which is not a professional grievance with what's happening here, but if I was in charge of it, I would say that what Clair Obscur is achieving is largely it has such a strong connection to the resources that were afforded to them that to me it gets away from what I would want indie to represent.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
Yeah. And in a way that I think Blueprints is doing that, and Ball Pit is doing that, and Absalom is doing that. All three games I have played, by the way, and actually I like all three of those games quite a bit. So love to see them here.
Yeah. So I want to point you to best performance here. I know we mentioned it, and I think this is piggybacking off a lot of this conversation here. So in best performance, we have Ben Starr for Clair Obscur. We've got Charlie Cox for Clair Obscur, Erika Ishii from Ghosts of Yote. We've got Jennifer English from Clair Obscur, Konatsu Kato from Silent Hill F, and Troy Baker from Indiana Jones: The Great Circle. Got to get him in here somewhere. What I find so like weird about this, not weird, but it's just like these are the most visible performances of the year. And I think it's always frustrating that it's like culturally, as a gaming culture, we look at a person's face and we say, yep, that is Erika Ishii, right? And I do think that they give a good performance in Ghost of Yote, regardless of what the script says. But I don't know. Do you think that like, I think it's maybe harmful for games to just say like, well, the best performances always come from people who are doing a performance that has got facial capture and all of this stuff. Would you agree?
Is it inconceivable? Is it inconceivable that Donkey Kong could be on this list?
Donkey Kong as in Kong himself? I don't think so. I think, well, I'll say this. In the current way that we have the Game Awards set up, yes. Yes, it is. But in a Game Awards that does look at the craft of voice performance, I like and really, really values that and really takes that seriously, then sure, I think there's an argument to be made. I only played the game for like, I don't know, 5 hours or so I'd have to like look into it. But
I just think with like video games being as vast as they are, the fact that like, I don't know, man, is every single person nominated here just a human playing a human with motion capture?
Yeah, no, yes.
Like,
that is,
bro, come on, dude. Like, are you kidding?
Is Ben Starr? Yeah, no, Ben Starr's a dude. There's like
he's a dude,
like monkey guy, but that's not him. That's Andy Serkis. Or no, Andy Serkis. It doesn't matter. What I'm getting at is you are correct. Yes, and I think that what is interesting about video games is like so many video game characters who are like iconic and notable, memorable, are like not just like I'm just standing in doing a scene, right? It's like exactly what you said, like Donkey Kong, or like I think about like Charles Martinet, the voice of Mario, among other many other like Mario characters. Like Mario's not like speaking, right? Mario's not like giving like dialogue and lines, but I think that performance is incredible and it's immediately recognizable and iconic, right?
Donkey Kong and Hades 2 and Hollow Knight Silksong are 3 games that appear for Game of the Year.
Yeah.
In all 3 of those games, do we feel that there is not a performance that is critical to those games being nominated for Game of the Year that is not worth highlighting in best performance? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like
I do know what you're saying.
And these also happen to be the games that eschew human motion captured protagonists.
Yeah. I think about like Hades 2, that has an incredible voice cast who are eating it up, right? This reminds me of last year. I didn't love Metaphor ReFantazio, but I did think that it had some really incredible performances. I think specifically, did you play Metaphor? You did a little bit, right?
I did.
Did you get to the bunny guy? No, he's not like a bunny. He's like a big rat with big ears.
I know what you're talking about.
I'm forgetting his name. the performance on that character is like fucking phenomenal. Like it's so good, but he wasn't nominated, whatever. But it's this thing where I'm like, I think that in part it is because we look at who gets nominated for these awards, and it does not go to flat images, right? That is just a character portrait just blinking, looking at you, regardless of how good the performance is. And so I think, something like Hades 2, we're seeing that as well. Even that is more close to a person, right? Because they're gods and with all that. But
the Game Awards 2023 best performance, Asterion, Baldur's Gate 3.
Oh yeah, he won. He was good.
The Idris Elba character in Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
The Saga in Alan Wake 2.
Yeah.
Spider-Man in Spider-Man 2. Cal Kestis in Star Wars Jedi Survivor.
Yeah.
And the Ben Starr character in that Final Fantasy game.
Oh, sure.
Game Awards 2024 best performance. Senua Saga, the main character. Aerith in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Max Caulfield in Life is Strange Double Exposure. Kay Vess in Star Wars Outlaws. And James Sunderland in Silent Hill 2. That's 3 years in a row where every single best performance nominee was a human motion captured playing a human.
All right, we're bringing it back even further. Game Awards 2022. You
want to go 2022? I've got it right in front of me. You want to hear it?
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Here it is. Okay, best performance. Aloy, Horizon Forbidden West. Marissa Marcel in Immortality.
Yep.
A character in A Plague Tale.
Okay.
And Atreus in God of War Ragnarok.
And
Kratos in God of War Ragnarok.
Because he won. Yeah.
Apologies. I would say more or less we're looking at the same thing. I think that there's
I think that is the same thing, right?
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of, you could argue there's a little bit of room there. All right, let me go back. Let me keep going.
Wait, with who? Because were those not all just people?
I guess I was thinking the FMV is a little different, but it is ultimately
same. That's exactly. I mean, that's exactly the goal of this award, right? Is a person that I'm looking at with my eyes.
2021.
Yeah.
Lady Dimitrescu in Resident Evil Village.
Yeah.
Alex Chen in Life is Strange True Colors.
Yep.
The Giancarlo Esposito character in Far Cry 6. Colt in Deathloop, and Ozioma, the woman in Deathloop, or Juliana in Deathloop.
Okay, bring it back. 2020.
2020.
Right?
You want 2020? Is there a 2020?
5 years.
Yeah, there is
5. There's a.
All right. Let's go. Here we go. 2020. What a year. Best performance. Here we go. Laura Bailey, The Last of Us Part 2.
Sure.
Would you believe it? Hades.
Okay, there you go. Is that for Zagreus?
Yeah! We got one.
Is that Zagreus?
That is Zagreus. Yeah, Logan. Yeah, Hades.
He's also the composer.
No. That's actually Hades. That's Hades the god.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That's cool.
There's one. Yeah.
Then Miles Morales in Spider-Man Miles Morales, Ellie in The Last of Us Part 2, and Jin Sakai in Ghost of Tsushima.
Okay, so 5 years.
Yeah.
It took for us to pretty much hit a character that is not, and even then, like, we've just gotten to a portrait of a man as opposed to an actor, like a person just like walking around in 3D space. I might say I think you could argue potentially that some of those like Life is Strange nominees maybe, because it's not quite the same. I don't know if they're doing facial capture. I don't know.
Come on, that's what they're going for, though.
It's what they're going for. Yes,
they're going for a high fidelity human experience. And I just
stylized,
checked, and I just checked 2019. The games are Death Stranding, Gears 5, The Outer Worlds, Control, and Death Stranding again. So this is a pattern. This
is a pattern.
Okay.
And so we return then right to the overall question that we're asking here.
Yes.
What does that say about what video games are valued and what performances are valued here?
Money can buy you a lot of value in video games. Money can buy you a lot of value. Prestige can buy you a lot of value.
So something I sort of noticed with Ghost of Yote, which I think, am I Ghost of Yote's number one hater?
Yeah,
honestly, I'm high up in the leaderboards.
Yeah.
And I hate it for good reasons, everyone. I'm like, it doesn't matter. What I'm saying is, with Ghost of Yote, as I was playing it, and I'm like, this story is losing me. I'm like, all of this like narrative stuff just isn't landing for me. All this whatever. I am watching it, and I'm like, but Erika Ishii is going to be nominated for this.
Of course. Yep. You said that to me many times. Yep.
Even though, like I said, I think Erika Ishii gives a good performance in the game. But it's like, how good of a performance can you give if the script is bad, right? And the only reason I was thinking about that was because I was thinking about this specific award where I'm like, they will be nominated. And that is because I'm looking at a video game and I'm looking at a face that is exactly the face of a person who I've seen in interviews and on Dropout sometimes. And I'm like, this is an actor giving a performance. And so that is the reason why this is going to be nominated.
Highly visible performance, as you have put it before.
The most performance that we've seen.
Most performance, lovely. Yes.
Because of these characters, this is the highest fidelity version of this one human being, right? Like, because even like Ben Starr, Charlie Cox, like all these characters are have different digital faces put on them, right? Troy Baker does not look exactly like Harrison Ford. Right, they're putting a performance from Troy Baker into that game. With Eric Ishii, it's just like, no, this is just their face, But
man, I guess I'm so God. It doesn't matter. Peter, I've written down some tips for the Game Awards.
I would love to hear what you think.
I think if it was me, if I could have a meeting with Jeff Keighley, I could sit him down and I could say, Jeff, here are my tips. How to get some good cultural cachet with the games media crowd for the Game Awards.
Can I interrupt you?
Oh my God, please.
My number one tip, Jeff, Critical Error pre-show, right? We're hosting with Kermit. There's Muppets. We're sitting at a little desk. There's a little microphone. We're like doing kind of like a Jimmy Kimmel kind of style thing.
Chick Hydrobot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's my number one note, I think.
That's number one.
You can always, I agree. Jeff, emails in the description anytime.
Tip for the Game Awards.
Please.
Craft categories that are derived from the form of video games. My examples: best systems design, best encounter design, best economy design, best tutorial, best live game narrative. Huh?
I like this. I mean, this is great because then you avoid the idea of like, okay, well, we've got the best action game and the best action adventure game and best fighting game and best RPG
categories. And I think that these categories are actually quite good at giving people something to talk about in a way that these are not. This like best like genre shit. Genre is so stupid. I can't believe we take genre as seriously as we do in America. It's so like the puzzle game, action game, blah blah blah. It's like I don't care. It's very dumb. It's just a way of saying game of the year again. It's boring. It is meaningless. It encourages people to actually like think about something in a material way.
Yeah, and like actively engage with what the game is in front of you, right? Like, okay, best tutorial. Gosh, that's such a good category because it feels so surface level on like at first blush, but then you like look into like you start thinking about it, and you're like, oh no, there is craft that goes into this. I'm teaching you how to play, and if being effective and efficient with that. Anyway, go on.
My next suggestion for the Game Awards.
Yeah.
Like the book critics circle, or the Oscars craft committees, okay? Decentralize the kind of hype machine of video games and bring in real critics, just expertise in terms of design, criticism, and academia. And do not just bring these people in to be judges. Do not bring these people in just to be nominees. 3 times a year before the Game Awards, host a like call or a meeting or a piece of content, create Game Awards content throughout the year where these judges in their respective fields host a thing where they go, hey, this is the craft category we are paying attention to, and here are some games that were important to us in this category that we want to spy. This is an ongoing conversation throughout the year. It is and it is one where I can show up to this call, talk to my peers, and say, hey, you should check this out. I'm making a case for this. And before the end of the year when you're not going to make you know what I mean? And turns people watching on and gives you, the Game Awards, more content.
Yes, 100%.
Okay. Delete the most anticipated award.
Yeah, because that's the real crux of it, isn't it? It's just
delete it.
Yeah,
embarrassing.
It's embarrassing. It is embarrassing
embarrassing for everyone involved. It has never been a fun thing to watch unfold. It is embarrassing for everyone involved. If I could suggest a replacement, most meaningful cultural contribution.
Oh gosh, that's good.
Honor the games that people talked about.
That is a game for impact, a game that had an impact, right? Like because dude, it's so like, this is such a thing, right? Where so often, and this is something that you and I have talked about a lot. I don't know if we've ever talked about this on the show because it feels like sometimes like a little like fruitless or pointless, but we're like, so many games come out and people are like, you got to play Split Fiction 93. So it's just the one that I'm thinking of. 93 on Metacritic or OpenCritic or whatever. You got to play Split Fiction. And I have not heard a single fucking person talk about this game. No cultural no footprint. Footprint on it within games media. You know what I mean? So I think that's actually such a good category because it's just like thinking about what is like the most measured way to think about like how games have impacted us. Because I do think there is like a conversation to have about like, okay, Hollow Knight Silksong did a whole lot culturally for video games. This was a huge deal. But then also, love it or hate it, something like Expedition 33 did culturally flip this games around a little bit when it came out. You have people like talking about like, oh my gosh, this is the best RPG since Chrono Trigger. And you're like, that's not true. But like, there's been good RPGs since then and now. But it is this thing, right, where people are like paying attention to this and had this like cultural footprint in a way that kind of was unexpected, you know? 100% agree. 100% agree. Most anticipated is embarrassing.
Force voters to disclose a ballot rationale of 3 to 5 sentences or more, I guess. What this would do is right now, if you get a ballot for the Game Awards, you are encouraged to put something down, even if you have no idea what you are talking about. If you add in, you can not just say the name of a game, you have to write 3 to 5 sentences about why you are contributing this game as a nominee or as a vote. That would make it so that people only do that work if they actually want to do that work. If they actually have something meaningful to contribute, it would clamp down on these pointless, stupid votes, and you would stop getting, oh, what was a sports game that came out in 2025? Okay, I guess I'll put that down because it's one that I remember or one that I Googled. Yes. And this would keep voters accountable. It would keep the discourse, I think, more honest. It would the kind of like Googleification of these awards. It would cut down on that, and it would give you stuff to read or publish after the award winners are received, where they can have those things come up on screen or publish them elsewhere, where it's like, this critic had this to say about this game, which would in actually meaningful context, actually something, an interesting thing to hear.
And it's more content. There you go.
It's more
content. Yeah.
Love more content.
What else you got?
I think you're not going to like this one.
Okay. Ban all Peters from the awards. What?
No.
You can't do that.
I think they should rotate cities that the Game Awards is hosted in.
Why do you think I don't like this one?
I just thought you were going to think it was stupid.
No, setting in Beijing. Let's go.
Okay.
we're going all over the place.
I think
Rio de Janeiro.
Cool.
Are you kidding me?
I think it would be cool if you rotated host cities like the Olympics. Why is it in LA every year? Games are global. The gaming cultures are regional. You could go to, I don't know, Chicago, and Ed Boon
Can you imagine?
Ed Boon's out there,
talking
about Chicago. You do a little spotlight on the Chicago gaming scene. That'd be sick.
That would be cool. And then you do go places like, out of the U.S., right? Or do it in Montreal. Highlight a bunch of those Montreal studios. It'd be so cool, right? Like, yeah, I agree.
I've got one more.
Yeah, please.
Bring on a young, handsome, Jewish comedian and have him give awards out for things that are only kind of serious. For example, best video game food, best loading screen, worst first 2 hours, best skin, best kiss.
Oh, dude, I'll tell you this: we're missing the Best Kiss award.
Thank you.
Who do you see doing that?
Anybody that fits the qualifications that I.
Can you read that to me again?
That I listed out. Young.
Uh-huh.
Handsome.
Uh-huh.
Jewish.
Uh-huh.
Comedian.
Oh, okay. Uh-huh.
Maybe if they host a video game podcast and they are familiar with you don't want to just get a Joel McHale type.
Sure. So they have to be a part of the scene already.
That's right.
Is Joel McHale Jewish and also young still?
He is to me, baby.
Which, Jewish or young?
I just think everybody's gonna immediately go Mike Drucker, but Mike Drucker is actually this year he just hit the cutoff of his age. So I need I need somebody at least 1 year younger than Mike Drucker.
I see. Got it. Mm-hmm. And it could be anyone?
It could be anyone. It's such a wide, it's like you have so many options, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You just when you make the choice, you just be wary of making like a big mistake, like a critical error in that decision making process.
I see what you're. I'm not Jewish.
No,
I'm flattered, but I'm not Jewish, unfortunately.
Oh my God! Oh wait, one more tip.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what you would call this one, but I want there to be an award for a game that came out the prior year that didn't get its flowers.
So it just last year you gotta check out 1,000 Times Resist, or like
this can be one of my goofy awards that the young handsome Jewish comedian presents, but you could just call it like the hindsight award and like give it to a game that's like, oh, we missed that one.
Yeah, okay, sure. See, I like that.
Yeah.
And that the comedian could do that one.
Yeah, he could deliver that in like a funny way. It's like there's like a little skit about, you get in your car in Fortnite and you leave your friend behind, and it's like, you want to go heal up, and then but you gotta go back and pick him up, and then thank God you pick him up because it was Christian Macias and he's so good at Fortnite and he led to you winning. It'll make sense on stage.
Yeah, I can see the physical comedy of it. So
okay, good.
I think those are all great. No notes for me.
Wow. Any tips for the Game Awards?
I mean, like, it's all stuff that like we've all already talked about, right? I mean, like, it's stuff that they would never change. From just like, you got to get this thing under 3 hours. I mean, like, you got to get this under like 2 hours. I would say like 2.5 hours, but you can't because you got to do the ads. I would say don't do the ads largely. Can
I give a style note for that?
Yeah, sure.
I think that it like is what it is, and
yeah, I agree. I think like you guys just got to find a way to dress this up a little bit more.
And I think something that Jeff Keighley could maybe use in whether it be in the writing room or his delivery, I don't really know how many different hands are involved in this kind of thing, is that I think it could use like a more grounded feeling to it. And I almost think that like for the it's like a different audience. Like people that play video games are more online as a culture than other media cultures. Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Socially, like very much exists on the internet. So like a very different audience than from like who's watching like the MTV Music Awards and like other 100%. Award shows. Yes. And I think that there is sometimes I think Jeff Keighley is kind of like trying to talk to like this fake audience, and I think he should talk to like the real audience. And and I almost think he needs to just like be aware that it's like we're doing commercials now. We're doing commercials.
Yes,
Gotta pay, we're paying for the show. You know what I mean? This is how this is done. Like just like say what it is. Stop trying to like hide around it through doing a show.
Yes, there's a level of self-awareness that I think the Game Awards lacks. That I think you could change a lot of the public image of it if you just like gained some of that self-awareness to exactly what you're saying. Yeah, like, all right, time to pay the bills. Let's see the Genshin Impact trailer for the.
I really don't think that hurts anybody.
No. I will also say this. One of the tips I would give is to like. I understand why they want to have celebrities all the time because I think they like gets people talking about it, right? Oh my gosh, Timothée Chalamet, was he there? Mm-hmm. But I would say that like bring more like games people on stage. I'm not talking about games media. I'm talking about like sometimes they'll bring like legendary game developers out to present an award, and I'm always eating it up because I think like that's how you establish like rock stars in an industry, right? By like saying like, oh my gosh, this was the guy who came up with the hold L2 to aim down the sights or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. You know, like
that's cool.
Because whenever they bring out like actual like people who have like who are accomplished like game devs or people whatever, there is this sense of like, wow, that is like kind of a, you got a big get, and they're not someone who's like a celebrity in their day-to-day life, but you do have someone who is like that people in the industry actually admire and look up to, you know, that aren't just, you know, your Gal Gadot's. She presented once.
You know what we could
Nolan.
use?
Was that?
Yeah, you ever watch Dancing with the Stars?
No, just the clips of of Robert Irwin potentially cheating on his partner.
No. Robert would never.
I also think he would never, you know, but come on.
I'm hoping he wins. But Dancing with the Stars, there, you know, you turn on this television program. There are hosts, and then there are judges sitting at a table.
Yeah, and
they have different roles. And I think that we're missing some judge-like personalities in the gaming space. Somebody like a lofted academic type, I'm
just like putting together a panel in my mind of like, oh gosh, I'm making the Game Awards worse, but I'm thinking of it like America's Got Talent or like X Factor or something like that, where you've got like, for me, in my mind, I immediately go to like all games media people, and I want like a bunch of people across the spectrum, right? Like you need a Jan Ochoa, you need a comic relief, but also like sincere, lovable guy, right? You need that's just who immediately came to mind for me. But you know, like I'm seeing like a panel of it, and I do like this. But now we have also created a game show.
Well, I like my idea of having these like streams or like these Game Awards products throughout the year, and I think you could build up a personality. I think you could build somebody up as like their opinion mattering. Mm-hmm. And if you have like at the end of the spring, at the end of the summer, at the end of the fall, you have this ongoing Game of the Year discourse being discussed amongst 3 people.
Yeah.
What you would then create is almost this cult of personality where it's like, oh, I really identify with what this critic is saying in those videos. I really identify with what this person's saying. And people will then like look to them as like tastemakers. And I think by associating them with the Game Awards, there's a level of legitimacy there where even the people that deride the Game Awards and are very apathetic towards it cannot help but look. They cannot help but empower it with their attention and time. So I think like we could use that. We could use that to empower certain people that like, I think it would be good for the Game Awards and it would be good for the media.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah. I'm trying to think if I have any other, like I said, like it's all stuff that is like people have talked about. If it's gonna have to be corporate, then like figure out how to make it at least interesting or like something. Because how it is right now, it feels kind of weird. More Muppets. Is that anything?
Love the Muppets.
Can I say everyone's always like, ugh, these fucking Muppets, and I'm like, we have no animals on stage right now.
Oh, I love Animal. He's one of my faves.
And you're trying to tell me that this is wrong and bad? No,
never.
No, the Swedish Chef is here. Yeah. Yeah. Gonzo is here.
Ooh, Gonzo. Hell yeah. Who's going to be there this year?
Muppet wise?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to think.
Have they had Miss Piggy?
I don't know. They've had that last year was Statler and Waldorf. Mm-hmm. The year before, I believe, was the Swedish Chef. Maybe that was Animal. It is difficult to tell, isn't it? It's difficult to remember. He had Gonzo for sure.
Yeah, no, I remember. Yeah.
I thought for the 10-year anniversary, I thought we were getting Kermit. I thought that was going to be like a big deal, but maybe saving it for 15 or 20.
I don't think Kermit's ever shown up.
You think Kermit's never shown up?
I just think they've had Bunsen and Beaker. They've had Swedish Chef, Animal, Gonzo, Statler and Waldorf. I think that we're like, they don't. No, I'm sorry. I think Kermit's.
You think Kermit's too big of a name for the game?
Man, I almost feel like
Christopher Nolan.
I feel like Miss Piggy's even bigger than Kermit, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, of course. So, I mean, you know, yes, obviously.
You know who I would love to see at the Game Awards?
Please.
Sabrina Carpenter.
I know you were fucking about to say Sabrina Carpenter. I know you were about to fucking say Sabrina Carpenter. I knew it. Every cell in my body, Jake Steinberg knew you were going to say Sabrina Carpenter.
Let's thank the patrons.
Oh my gosh, the Critical Error Nation. $5 and up supporters on patreon.com/critical error. You mean the entire world to us. My goodness, you do. You do, and who knows? Maybe Sabrina is one of them anonymously. It's tough to say. Really,
it's tough to say.
Can't be sure.
$5 subscribers get access to a bonus pod every week.
Every single week.
This week we talked a lot about Metroid Prime 4 preview discourse.
We did, and Simpsons Fortnite.
We always talk about Simpsons Fortnite, having a good time. What else did we talk about today?
We talked about the way that video games and media and in life often trauma is used as a shorthand for depth and depth in relationship, depth in storytelling, that sort of stuff, and how oftentimes that feels just a little hollow and shallow because it's kind of like, well, you know, what is there nothing else that we like? This is not the only way that we can have these sorts of conversations, I think, but.
I was so happy with our bonus pod today that I ran over to our Discord channel and
which you do get access to, by the way, if you are a member of the nation.
That's right. And I told them, I said, get ready, boys. Good bonus pod this week. Good bonus pod. Thought we really got into some good stuff there. SpongeBob. Remember we talked about SpongeBob?
We did. We talked about SpongeBob. What's that game called?
You were right. Titans of the
Tide. Yeah, we absolutely did. And I would love in this moment to say a big thank you to the two people who are a part of the Jake and Peter tier from our Patreon. That is Evan Ponce and Ansel Trait. Thank you so much for going above and beyond and making sure this show happens in addition to the regular members of the Critical Error Nation and the Jake and Peter tier, which, by the way, if you are leaving a comment on this video, which you should like and subscribe, go ahead and thank Evan and Ansel. Ansel spelled Ancel. I don't know if there's multiple spellings, but that's, how you spell it.
Eventually, when we do our Critical Error Game of the Year show, I think we'll have to include Evan and Ansel's contributions.
I would have to completely agree with you, as they are Jake and Peter. But in addition to them, we do have another tier, the Critical Error Royalty. These are our $10 patrons. Jake, it is my understanding that you've prepared a sound for us.
Play the sound!
World premiere.
Do you folks listening ever wonder if Peter listens back to the podcast? Would he know? Would he know if I named Evan Ponce, Ansel Trait, Connor Truelove, Andrew Bolkar, Danny Disaster, Sam Cedar, James Pierre Reed, Jacob Richter, Jared Cousineau, Sam Woods, Cole? Would he know if I named all of those people or not? This is the test. Everybody be cool. Don't tell him we were here. Now to close out our show,
one more thing.
Each and every week, we prepare a piece in advance, a written piece.
It's true.
And this week, I've decided to bring a review to the Critical Error podcast.
It's huge. We talk a big game. God.
Pressure is on.
Yeah.
So I wrote a review for a game called Morsels. It just came out this week, available on PC, PlayStation, Switch, all those places. $15 little game, Morsels. You ready to hear this review?
I would love nothing more.
Great. The first time I turn on Morsels, I think it fucking sucks. It dumps me into this cramped, noisy little arena where the colors feel like they are a result of a cartoonish infectious disease. There is a filter over everything that makes the screen look like it has been recorded onto a VHS tape and then microwaved. Things move in ways that do not line up with the shapes I expect. Blobs split, lines arc, bullets wobble, and I die. Fast. And not in a clean way. A hiccup and I am gone. I do a couple more runs, just to make sure. And each time, my brain is bouncing off of it. I cannot track anything. I do not know what is in the foreground and what is set dressing. I turn the game off, and I log onto Fortnite with my friend Peter. We talk about our jobs, our anxieties, and Twitter drama. Half the time, I'm barely registering the game. My fingers are doing the moving, the shooting. It is all on autopilot, glued together with 1,000 hours of muscle memory. We survive long enough to hit top 10 a bunch of times without trying that hard. Whole games pass where we are barely aware of the match at all, only snapping back to the present when someone is shooting at us or the circle closes in before we notice it had even started to move. In one night, we play for more than 4 hours easy. I go to bed thinking about some random story Peter told me, one I want to tell my wife about when we wake up the next morning. The next day, I boot up Morsels again. I do not usually revisit games that annoy me. There are too many other things to play, but something about it sticks. I go in with a different plan this time. Instead of brute forcing the early rooms, I will be smart. I will read. I pause the game and I discover that there is a manual, and I start paging through the entries for all of these little trash creatures the game lets you play as. In my head, this is the moment in the story where everything clicks. The manual will tell me what I cannot see. I will learn what each guy does, which attacks pierce, which enemies explode, which hazards are safe to step on. This is the part where the game meets me halfway. This is not what happens. The manual is a wall of weird descriptions that tell me almost nothing useful about how to stay alive. Goofy portraits, blocks of text only large enough to satisfy a quick nibble, a font that leans into the same chunky, gunky aesthetic as the rest of the game. It is cute in theory. It is completely unhelpful in practice. I squint my way through a handful of entries and come out knowing less. Yeah, these things are thematically clever and gross and funny, but I still don't know which one I should bring into the next room or what specific threats I am supposed to be preparing for. It feels like the game does not care about me. I set it down until the third visit. The third time I play, I go in mean. I have decided that the problem is my attitude, not the game. I tell myself I will push harder. I will be aggressive. I stop trying to play it like a cautious roguelike where you clear the screen methodically, and I start treating it like a twin-stick brawler that happens to be set in a putrid sewer. This feels right. This feels good. I thread through some danger. I land satisfying shots. I clear rooms faster than before. My confidence spikes. And then I am down to one heart, cornered by a mess of enemies that all look half melted. There are bullets, spores, or something flying in diagonals. There is a glowing pink fuzzball on the ground that I've already walked over once, maybe twice. I am trying to dodge everything at once and keep track of my own projectiles. The room is a blur and I am dead. I am dead. I am dead. Morsels! The part that pisses me off is not the death. It is realizing that I have no idea what exactly killed me. There was no feedback. Was it the pink thing? Did it hurt me once or 3 times? Was it even dangerous? I am used to deaths that make some kind of visual or mechanical sense. This feels like I was shoved in a crowd and later learning a stranger's elbows cracked me in the rib. Who hurt me, I will wonder, in the doctor's office. It is here that I do something petty and satisfying. I go into the settings and I turn off the fake VHS filter. It is cute, sure, but it must be absolutely murdering my ability to read the game. I flip it off. The image sharpens. The colors separate. Hazards are standing out to me more. The art looks less romantic and more like information that I can read. And I die. And I die. And I still die a lot. But I have taken something from this game. Don't you dare separate my tweaking of the settings from my actual run. This is the same fight. The game's style is one that exerts pressure, and my refusal to tolerate that style without editing is my counter move. Modulating the settings is gameplay. This is around when my brain starts pulling the friction discourse out of its drawer. A lot of people in and around games talk about friction as if it is a moral category. A good game does not just hand you everything. It resists you, right? It slows you down. It makes you work. But most of the time when people say friction, what they mean is a little extra texture layered on top of something fundamentally legible. A bit of jank, some awkward timing, a slightly confusing map. Enough inconvenience to make you feel like you overcame something without ever threatening your basic understanding of what is going on. Morsels is not giving me that kind of friction. It is not adding a little spice to a dish I already love. It is forcing me to confront how many of my instincts are actually just the result of repeated genre training. See, I've been playing video games for long enough that I can look at a screen and immediately sort most elements into categories. Threat, Safe, collectible, decoration. Red barrels explode. Spikes hurt. Shiny orbs are good. Enemies telegraph their attacks with wind-ups and big sound cues. Even in games that I've never touched before, I can sight read my way through them because everything is built out of a familiar grammar. But here, that grammar is scrambled. A lot of things that look dangerous are not. A lot of things that look like background will kill you. Some creatures move as if they are scripted and then suddenly change direction in a way that does not match the silhouette that you have filed them under. The screen is full of that. In any other game, it would be clear. Here, it feels like the game is lying to me. None of that would matter if the game were dull underneath. The problem or the hook is that the actual moment-to-moment play is interesting enough to keep tugging at me. The guts of it are classic roguelike structure, small rooms, randomized layouts, different enemy sets, little permanent upgrades if you make it far enough. On paper, this is familiar territory, but the way it is executed makes the usual comfort fall apart. The randomization does not feel like the shuffling of tires. It feels like somebody dumped the contents of a trash can down a stairwell and you're trying to sprint up while everything bounces off of your face. The whole game takes place inside of this intestinal superhighway clogged with runoff and garbage and half-living clumps of junk. Everything you fight or recruit looks like it was scraped off the bottom of the street. Gum, smoke filters, sludge, little avatars of stuff that everyone tosses aside without thinking. It is gross and it is pointed. Every room, you are wading through the physical consequences of people not paying attention. I keep pushing through a few more runs, dying in ways that feel mysterious. Eventually, I quit again, and I text Peter. Burns! 10 minutes later, we're back on the Simpsons Fortnite Island, talking about our favorite ice cream flavors. Peter says cake batter, disgusting. We're missing shots we should have hit, getting revived while complaining about the sweats, and suddenly it is 1 a.m. again. Fortnite is letting me forget that I'm even playing. Morsels does not. I am not sure which one of us that incriminates more, me or the morsels. Thank you.
Loved this. That
was so longer than I thought. I'm so sorry. I realized in the middle of it, I was like, God damn, I've been reading for a while. So apologies to the room. But yeah.
No, you know what's so funny? I think about like the way that we need to position ourselves when we are trying to do a review, because there is this give and take, right? About this idea of like, you need to meet a game where it's at, but you also need to like meet yourself where you're at a little bit in terms of like if you're going to like something or not. And so I appreciate the idea of if you don't like something, I do think you should return to it 3 times. Or 2 times. Like, I think you need to play it 3 times to really, really be able to like sit down and identify why. But what I appreciate about you is you did what I think good reviewers should do, and you're like, okay, this isn't working for me. Is this user error? Am I like investigate? Because it's so easy to say like, oh, you can't play a game wrong, which is true. I think it's nuanced. It's true and it's not. But what I appreciate about what you've done here is you've identified like what you should be doing when a game is losing you, especially as a critic, is saying like, is it me? Is it me? Am I doing something wrong here? Where I'm not meeting the game? Like, is there something about the game that's happening that I'm not engaging with the right way? And I appreciate you investigating that.
Yeah, I wanted to really put myself in this one.
Yeah.
I think this is such a rare video game experience where I pick it up once and my opinion of the game dramatically shifted each subsequent time I picked it up. And I think I think it's reminding me that like a lot of video games people like are kind of like flavors of a thing that they're already familiar with, and it's like getting to the thing that they want. And I think that this was like the first time in a while that I played a game that was like Jake, like stop, like read the words on the page in a sense, you know. And it was like this is not. I like that story about me running over something that I didn't realize was something that would hurt me. That was real, and I think there's a take there where you go, that's bad. That's bad that I didn't recognize that. The game should have, you know what I mean? It's like, and then but I think it's like, I think it's right. I think that's what the game is.
Well, it's so interesting because it depends on the type of game, right? Like, I think games are about like learning how to read the language that the game is speaking. And when you are playing a roguelite that is punishing, a great way for a game to teach you something is to smush you and say, don't do that again. And that's, now you've learned, oh, okay, this pink thing on the floor, I should not walk over. And now that is the language of learning it, right? Through trial and error and through oppression in a game like this that is meant to be challenging. Whereas like, depending on if you are going for a different type of experience, that might be wrong, but it really depends on what kind of experience that game is going for. What I appreciate about what you said though too is this idea of like, so many people pick up a game and expect to just like be able to play it and be good at it and whatever. Like I think about like Mario Kart. We've talked about this before, right? Mario Kart 7 or 8, whichever the most recent one is before this most recent one.
8.
8 is like the expectation is you sit down and you get first place first try. And it's like, oh, well, I didn't actually have to read this. I didn't actually have to learn anything about this because it was kind of a painless experience. Not the game should be painful, but that like, what I'm trying to say is like, I appreciate the way you've identified like, no, this game is trying to teach me something and I need to engage with it in a way that I don't need to engage with other games like Simpsons Fortnite. And also,
drama,
what is wrong with cake batter ice cream?
My wife had the same reaction as me when I told her about it this morning. Yeah, we don't know. I don't know.
It's good. Tastes like cake.
I can't express enough the drama of me changing that visual setting in this game. How that was that was like, I think I only wrote this because of that moment. When I did that, it felt like I was pushing back on the game in a crazy way.
Isn't that the best though when you have that moment of like transcendence with a game and you're like, oh, this is the thing I'm going to talk about.
Dude, it hit me so hard. I was like, game, you can kill me all you want. You can't stop me from doing this. Dude.
Yeah.
It was awesome. Yeah.
I think that was a great review. Really well done.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Cool. So the Game Awards, morsels. What don't we do here on the Critical Error podcast?
Appreciate cake batter ice cream, apparently. Hey, we'll see you in the nation.
Bye.